Howdy, folks. Sorry for the delay. Happy Wednesday. Happy hump day. We will go right into the pre-show. Go ahead, Russ.
So since I'm wearing a Pete Alonso shirt, we'll mention Pete Alonso since his agent Scott Boras. David Stern said that they are now going to start to negotiate with Pete Alonso and see where they're at, but he wants to do it behind closed doors. The problem is Scott Boras is the agent and nothing stays behind closed doors. Apparently he did a press conference today talking about wanting to move. He wanted the World Series to be in neutral sites, which I think is idiotic. The one great thing about baseball is the fact that you get to play in your home field. Why would you want to change that? It's idiotic. And then the other thing is, I think he wanted to change the time of free agency when it hits. I think
January. The world.
Agency, or is it something else?
Well, while you're looking that up, I'll because it's tied to free agency and tied to baseball. I'll probably be writing about this. By the way, I'm nibbling on Trader Joe's mixed nuts with herbs and olives. It's delicious.
I don't like olives, but I would like it with herbs. That's fine.
Yes.
So herbs are condiments, just so you know.
No, they're not.
There's herbs in condiments.
They're close. Okay. Regarding baseball, not too many general managers, come out and basically pile drive the media and their fans.
Oh, sorry. So it's the amateur draft. He wants to move that away from All-Star Weekend. Like, when are you going to do it, dude?
Yeah, if you're going to do it after the season, like football, baseball, and football, basketball, and hockey do fine, but
you know what the problem with that is? Because I write a lot about baseball prospects now, and the ones that get that finish college, those college seasons end early. So then when they get drafted, you can get in 30 games of rookie ball and sometimes 15 games of like A ball, and you're going to miss all that.
Yeah. No. I mean, Scott Boras, I think if everybody's going left, he likes to go right.
Yeah.
It's like he's the Alan Walsh of baseball. Yeah. So, yeah, very few times does a general manager come out and pile drive the media and the fans. But that's what Brian Cashman, the GM of the Yankees, did yesterday. He basically came out and said that the media didn't know what they were talking about regarding the team being analytically driven. Oh, gee, let me see. You're pulling starters at 90 pitches. You're resting Aaron Judge when he just came off the IR. You have these strategic rest days for players. Of course they're analytics. Well, we have the smallest analytics group in the AL East. I'll just say this. I'm sorry. It's like, he's a general manager who's got basically is a brother from a different mother when it comes to the Steinbrenner family. So he's got complete security.
Oh, they love him.
They love him, and he's made them tons of money. He's wasted tons of money, but he's also made them tons of money, and all this stuff about them looking over the analytics group and reevaluate. Nothing's going to happen, and they're probably not going to go after. They're probably not going to buy out Stanton, and they're not going to get Ohtani. Maybe they'll get the Japanese pitcher. Maybe they'll sign a free agent, but fans are going to. It's going to be a very interesting baseball year in New York, in the Bronx and in Queens, Russ, because you could have two fan bases rebelling against their own teams.
Yeah, this might be the most angry these fan bases have been since 1974, when both teams were not good.
Well, yeah, there isn't much overlap because they traded Seaver in what, 76, 77. Okay. At that point, the Yankees were in the World Series, but up until the Mets were in the World Series in 69 and 73. Yeah. At that point, the Yankees, Mantle had retired, They were the Horace Clark years. They were terrible until Steinbrenner bought the club in 72 or 73 and then started to spend money and build the team up. The Yankees were a joke. And then the Mets became a joke in the late 70s after they traded Seaver to Cincinnati. So, yeah, there hasn't been much overlap when both fan bases have been pissed, but they're going to be commiserating at bodegas in Queens, Yankees fans and Mets fans singing Kumbaya, how they hate their respective franchises.
Just to show you the differences, though, in the organizations. So the Mets were in 74, 71, and 91. That was the last year of Yogi, and they were fifth. The Yankees were in second, 89 and 71, but they're still in second with Bill Verdon. So that's why I knew they didn't, have a big year.
Right. All right, let's get started. Hello, Hockey World. Today is Wednesday, November 8th, 2023.
I'm Russ Cohen from Sportsology, and I just kind of wonder what we're going to talk about today.
Oh, and I'm Michael Agello, and this is the Hockey Buzzcast here on HockeyBuzz.com. Oh, yeah, but I have no idea.
Mike, what's the top story in the league?
Let's see. Andreas Janssen was placed on unconditional waivers today.
Did you get that from Thomas?
No, Tom. Well, yeah. Well, I get everything from Thomas because Thomas posts everything in the comment. I love you, Thomas, but we're hockey reporters. We don't need to know. If you're informing the people in the group, that's fine because they may not know, but we know. Okay. At 2:00 in the afternoon, my heart was singing because that was yesterday, 2:00 in the afternoon. Because after losing to the Vancouver Canucks, or shall I say being pile drived by the Vancouver Canucks on Monday, the Edmonton Oilers placed goaltender Jack Campbell on waivers. And I wish I could play, the funeral dirge or some sort of.
I mean, you had all day to figure that out.
Somber music. No, I didn't want. But
this trombone, like you had all day for that.
I mean, I really wanted Eck here. I really wanted him here today because it would have just brought me so much more joy to just give him sort of that Ken Patera pile driver.
Patera, nice.
Yes, because Eck was the one who was like, "Oh, this is a fantastic signing and unbelievable." And this is the thing. I've said this repeatedly. I like Jack Campbell. He's a nice guy. He was a really good guy to deal with in the locker room. He's a sweet fellow. Teammates loved him. The Leafs acquired him from Los Angeles as a backup because they'd had trouble with backups to Freddie Anderson. Freddie Anderson got injured during his last season in Toronto, and Jack Campbell took over and played well. And then, did not. I mean, well, okay. But Freddie Anderson had his issues in that playoff series against Columbus. He was not the reason why they lost. This is in the bubble. The following year, he's brought back, and Jack Campbell has a higher workload because Anderson gets hurt, and Jack Campbell is the goaltender in the playoffs. And up to a point, Jack Campbell played well, and then he didn't. And it was a situation where, he was going into the final year of his contract, and Kyle Dubas made the offer apparently of 2 years at $3 million. And I saw somebody comment that his agent apparently laughed at the Leafs. Well, who's got the last laugh now? Because Jack Campbell was placed on waiver, and he's going to Bakersfield a year and a half into a 5-year, $25 million contract. And why? Because Jack Campbell is an okay goalie. He's not a number one starter, and he's not a number one starter for a team that had Stanley Cup aspirations. And if you look at his statistics and you look at the way, and he's not alone in the fault here. The Edmonton Oilers are an organization that is clueless in terms of how to build a team because they have struggled in spite of having two of the best players in this league, they have struggled to have an idea of what to do. And this is just symptomatic of how dumb they are run.
Yeah, I just feel worse that he's in Bakersfield than he's actually not in the NHL. That's not the greatest place to be. Well, now we're hearing things like, hey, Bruce Boudreau's eating out in restaurants in Edmonton, and every name that's out there we're going to hear for the Edmonton Oilers because they're going to have a new coach. And the murmur is so loud, and I've been getting, some messages too, that I think it's happening this week. And I think it's just going to take one more loss. And I think that's where we're at. I think the Winter Classic bought them a little bit of extra time, but it's almost inevitable now. Like, just moving Jack Campbell is not going to change the team.
Well, okay. First of all, they said that they had placed him on waivers for the reason of assignment. So I'm assuming that once he cleared today, that he's going to be assigned to Bakersfield. I haven't seen the transaction yet, but I'm taking them at their word, which means they're calling up either Calvin Pickard, who's having a really big year with Bakersfield, or Oliver Rodrigue, who's 23 years old, and he's only played a couple games down there. So I would think it's Pickard because Pickard,
I'm sure of it.
Yeah. So, okay. So that's move one. They're only able to bury about $1.1 million on the cap with the demotion of Campbell. So if they can't trade him, then more than likely he's going to get bought out at the end of the year. Mm-hmm. Which now, the problem is that Ken Holland is going to be drinking Mai Tais in Florida. When the buyout happens, because he's in the final year of his contract, and everybody knows he's going to retire. So this is Jeff Jackson's problem to take on. And this is a team that's tight against the cap. So, if you're talking about 3 more years at $5 million, and I'm going to look up right now on Cap Friendly to see what the cap hit is on this, the buyout on him is. I mean, it's not going to be cheap, Russ.
No, it's not. I don't think he's got a lot of bonuses either.
No, I think that would be good news for them.
Well, I know. That's what I mean. I don't think he has that.
Right. So, okay. Yeah, they did call up Pickard according to Cap Friendly. So,
no surprise.
Okay. So Jack Campbell buyout calculator. Here we go. Okay. So the cap hit would be 1-1 next year, 2-3, 2-6. And then 1.5 the following 3 years. Yeah, it's not great. It's not paralyzing, but it's not great.
Right.
Now there is no signing bonuses on these deals. So that makes it at least a little bit more palatable. But really, for them to be able to get rid of him, they would have to trade a first-round pick to along with him. And I don't even know if that's enough, Russ.
It might not be enough. I mean, unless there's a team that really believes in him. It's tough. Well, I don't know. There's no good situation for that. But you're right. It's not going to be Ken Holland's problem.
Well, and a team like San Jose or a team like Arizona or a team like Philadelphia. Now, Philadelphia's already got Cal Peterson. So could you see, Cal Peterson being swapped to Edmonton in a deal for Jack Campbell because Peterson's got 1 more year and Campbell's got 3?
Yeah.
That would alleviate the cap hit a little bit if they have to buy him out. But Edmonton's probably going to have to give up a first-round pick to get rid of that contract, either if they take money back or they don't take money back. I mean, whatever. All I know is this is a disaster, and it doesn't even solve the problem of they don't have a goalie.
No. So, speaking of another disaster, on the let me get the name of the show right. It's the Dolly and something show out of
Rick Dollywall's show
he is saying that he's hearing that that Anthony Beauvillier's name is out there now in trade talk. And again, this has been a disaster for Vancouver. Like, it's just, I don't know. I know Vancouver's had a great start because all their guys are playing great, like the ones that you need to, but they can't add ancillary pieces. Like they've not been able to add those extra pieces that teams need to actually win over a long period of time. They can't do it.
Well, okay. Beauvillier this is the final year of his contract. He's making $4.1 million. So obviously, if they're trading him, they probably want to trade all 4.1 million. And he's got 5 points in 12 games, which is not horrendous, but it's not great.
Yeah.
I mean, we thought that this might have been an issue when he was traded from the Islanders, that maybe he was paid a little too much for what he had done. I mean, how many?
Well, I got breaking news.
Go ahead.
So we knew earlier that Cale and Addison got moved from the Wild to the Sharks, right? And my word was they're doing that to save money. Well, here's why. Tampa's now traded Zach Bogosian to the Wild for a 7th-round pick in 2025. So that's probably the same money, right? That same $825 is probably the reason.
Yeah, and what is Tampa Bay opening up money for?
Now, that's the bigger question. What are they doing it for, unless they're just getting out from under a little bit?
Well, I mean, remember, they told Bogosian to see if he could find a deal. He had played a few games for them, but essentially they had placed him on waivers and nobody claimed him. So, yeah. I mean, Bogosian more fits what I guess.
Are they going to sign Wayne Gretzky for that $825? Like, I mean, what other cap thing are they going to do? Are they bringing Mario Lemieux back? Like, you just wonder, right, with this team.
Are you talking about the Lightning or the Wild?
The Lightning, because they have $825 to spend now. Like, I mean, maybe they're going to say
Dan B is saying he's saying Patrick Kane.
He's not taking $825.
Well, hey, who knows? You never.
Do you think he's taking $825,000? I do not.
Well, I'll just say this. If Patrick Kane, if what is important to Patrick Kane is money, then he's going to go wherever he can get the most money. Duh. If he wants to win another Stanley Cup, then he's going to have to take close to that, Russ. It's like if
winning the Stanley Cup with that defense that they have.
Well, no, but that's my point. My point is, okay, what are the teams out there that have supposedly been linked to Patrick Kane? And we're segueing here from Campbell to Patrick Kane. Dallas, Florida, Detroit. Detroit doesn't have much money because they've spent money on DeBrincat and other players.
Right.
So they don't have a ton of money.
Right. Jay says Phil Kessel. He might be right.
Yeah, maybe.
That would track.
Maybe. And the thing is, Kessel, I mean, it didn't sound like money was the important thing for Kessel.
No, he doesn't care about money. He just wants to play. And
he's prepared to give up the consecutive game streak.
Yeah, I'm just going to tell Randy, I'm going to let him down gently. Nobody is trading for Dan Vladar right now. Nobody. Not even Tampa.
Edmonton might, if they could fit him. That's all. But Flamester, let me ask you this. Can you see in any conceivable situation Calgary and Edmonton trading with each other? I can't.
No, I can't either.
So
trade insults. That's what they do.
But okay, so let's just.
You don't even laugh at that joke. That was a top-notch A+ joke, and you don't even laugh at it.
I was too busy eating my cashew.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Busy eating Triscuits or some shit.
No. It's
the herb nuts. Yeah, I'm sure that's great.
The herb nuts. Because we're not going to do a full hour shows.
No.
Right. Exactly. Never will happen. Okay. But let me just finish off the Edmonton thing. So Campbell goes down to Bakersfield. Right now they have the Vezina Trophy winning tandem of Stuart Skinner and Calvin Pickard. I like Calvin Pickard. He played well for the Marlies. I think he's he's a third string goaltender. He's an NHL goalie, but he's not great. I mean, maybe he gives them a start or two to sort of get off of the the schneid, so to speak, and then maybe maybe they can start playing good enough defense to not hang Stuart Skinner out to dry.
Right.
And really the problem is that they're having trouble scoring too, which, if they're having trouble scoring and they can't play good enough defense, then they're in the Max Celebrini sweepstakes. But I can't see that happening. But who are they going to go out and get goaltender wise? Are they going to trade for John Gibson?
No, because it's too much money.
Right. And it's too much term. And the thing is, it's like everybody said, well, we'll trade you this, but we want, I saw Jimmy Murphy was like, well, if the Bruins get approached for Linus Ullmark, then the first guy they should ask for is Leon Draisaitl. Right. I mean, they're not trading Draisaitl.
Not even possible.
Yeah, they're not trading Draisaitl. They're not trading McDavid. There's no point. But the problem is, who can you trade from that team?
It won't be anything until the deadline, because at the deadline, things will happen. Like, as an example, Minnesota is so cap-strapped that if they need another position and they're that bought in on Gustafsson, maybe Fleury accepts a trade somewhere like Edmonton. But it would take until the deadline for that to happen.
Right. Right. Yeah, no, exactly. It's like, the teams that could, could Philadelphia do it? Could they trade Carter Hart there?
Yes, but they're not doing it today.
Right. They're not doing it today. And if they did do it today, Edmonton would have to make it worth their while. They'd have to give them an unprotected 2024 first. Yeah, because, hey, we're throwing you a lifeline here. We're giving you a goaltender that could steal games for you. But, we need a pick that could, if it doesn't work out for you, we need a pick that could be a top 10 pick, or it could be better than that. Ken Holland's not doing that. Now, maybe he will, because it's like, I don't care. I'm going to be in Florida. What the hell would I? But I don't think Jeff Jackson's going to sign up, or Daryl Cates is going to sign up for that. So I don't know how the only way that they get out of this is to simply play better. But right now they're so emotional.
Well, that's not simple for them.
Right now they're so emotionally and mentally damaged right now that I don't know how that happens.
So I got to mention something. Let's mention something quickly about the Rangers, because
yes,
again, as I've been telling everybody, the Red Wings were not going to stay that hot, and they went up against the Rangers, and people were saying like, "Wow, this is a bad game for the Red." Well, yeah, because the Rangers are on a roll. Everything's kicking right. I mean, the scoring is up, but they even are getting at least NHL goaltending from Jonathan Quick. Like as a backup, he was giving you .930 save percentage. But the more he gets used, he's going to give up 3 goals a lot of games, like he did against the Red Wings. But that may be enough to get him through the Shesterkin issue, which, is interesting, because I don't know if I thought Quick would even do that, but I think he might be able to do that. And the Rangers right now have a differential of +12, and Panarin is having a career year. Like, he's already, like, nobody talks about his point levels anymore. Like last year, everybody bitched about it. And now this year, he's killing it to the point he's got 20 points in 7 games, Mike. 20.
Yeah, and Zibanejad had started off slow, and now he's starting to, they were getting offense out of Kreider. They were getting offense out of Lafreniere.
Yeah.
Panarin started off great. They've lost Fox for a month, and Miller's playing great, and Trouba's playing great, and Schneider's stepping up. And I'll tell you, I was impressed with what I saw out of Zach Jones yesterday.
Yeah,
I was impressed with
Jones can play if given the chance. I always have said that.
And I was impressed with what I've seen in a couple instances out of Will Cully. So, it's not just their star players that are playing well, it's their depth players that are playing well. And right now, that game was 5-0 and they gave up 3 goals in the third. So it was like, so what, really? But
people in the chat room are like, hey, the Red Wings have a 12-game point streak. Yeah, I get it. They're a point ahead of Toronto. Excuse my French. Do you think they're going to stay there? No. I think they're going to start to lose some steam because they give up too much on the goaltending end. But they went off on a red hot start, but now they've been 5-4-1 in their last 10.
Yeah. Just a couple more things. I was a little surprised at the cross-check $5,000 fine for Ross Colton on Timo Meier. I thought he was going to get at least a 1-game suspension. Didn't get it. I joked about the unconditional waivers for Andreas Janssen. Talk about how the mighty have fallen. Andreas Janssen, I think it was 4 years ago, signs a 3-year contract with the Leafs for about after scoring, I think it was 20 goals with Matthew on the left wing of Austin Matthews. 1 year into that deal, he's traded because of cap reasons to New Jersey for Joey Anderson. New Jersey buys him out. Now he signs on with Pittsburgh with his old general manager Kyle Dubas, and after 10 games, he must have an offer from the SHL. Probably he doesn't want to go down to the AHL, and they terminated the contract. So I'm assuming he's got a deal over in Sweden. But really, it's I know he had some injury issues, but this is a guy who's not big, not durable. And once he started to lose a step, Russ, then he lost his speed advantage.
Yeah, that was probably the last thing for him. Now he's just, NHL below average.
4th liner.
Yeah.
13th forward. He was on a league minimum deal. So now one of the games, interesting games tonight.
Well, not tonight. Let's talk about the broken nose issue.
Oh, yes.
I think this is a hot button issue because I think there's 2 sides to this.
Okay. What you're talking about is Dylan Cousins, who got into a fight, probably not wisely, with Garnet Hathaway, and Garnet Hathaway smoked him in a fight against Sabres Flyers last Friday. Cousins did not play on Saturday, did not play last night as the Sabres lost to Carolina. He was sitting watching practice on the weekend and during the week, and then finally he practiced today, and we with a full face mask, and then found out that when in the locker room that he had a sort of cushion on his nose, and he had the black eyes, so he definitely has a broken nose.
Right.
And what he said afterward, and okay, I'm not going to call him a liar because, I saw the fight and I saw the position that Hathaway was in. Hathaway was down on his knees, so he couldn't see the nameplate and see Garnet Hathaway.
Right.
So he sees a guy down there mouthing off at him, and they're mouthing at each other, and he's frustrated because the Sabres had losing 5-1 late in the third period, and he figured I'll blow off some steam. Well, not so fast, because he got tuned up and it broke his nose. So, that cost him a couple games and some pain, and maybe is teaching him a little bit of a lesson. And he said this morning, it teaches me basically to, essentially to know who you're fighting, to know who you're coming up against.
Well, I mean, I get it. He's a bigger guy, so he probably figured he could take somebody on, and he found out he couldn't. But you have to know that some of these guys on the Flyers, you can't go anywhere near them, or you're just like fresh meat. And I guess he learned that lesson, but I really feel like Don Granato's got to teach him that lesson. Say to him, listen, you're a valued scorer here. You can't be getting mixed up in this kind of garbage, especially when you're starting it.
Yeah. No, I mean, it was that was a frustrating game for the Sabres. They got outplayed in 2 games by a team that is not as good as them in Philadelphia. Philadelphia had 40 shots on them, and they only won 2 points in Philadelphia because Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen played really well.
Yeah.
Philadelphia played much better in Buffalo, and I mean, I can understand the frustration, but you have to sort of watch out. I don't know if Hathaway's a heavyweight, but he's a
But
light.
he's tough.
He's a light heavy.
One more thing about the Flyers, we foresaw that they would have trouble against the Sharks. I mean, I did say I guaranteed on Sirius that in those next 2 games between the Flyers or the Oilers, the Sharks would get their first win. They did, so I lived up to the guarantee. Mick tried to turn it so that I was saying it was definitely going to be against the Flyers, and I said I didn't know which one. I just had a gut feeling about it. But I also saw a quote, Mike, from John Tortorella that said, sometimes going out to dinner with guys and letting them bond is as good as practice. I am here to say not only can you do both, but the Flyers need more practice. And they have a day off in between every one of these games except for Friday to Saturday. So it's like, you know what? They should be practicing. They really need it.
Yeah. Well, and no, I only saw like the last 10 minutes of the third period of the game against San Jose last night, just to see if the Flyers were going to lose to a team that had not had any wins. So I didn't notice that they did not play Morgan Frost again.
Oh, yeah. And actually, when John Tortorella was asked about that, like, is it a tough decision putting in Couturier and not putting in Frost? The answer was no.
I'll just say
pretty much tells you where things are at.
I'll just say right now that I really hope for his sake that Morgan Frost gets traded, because right now it seems like he's never going to get a fair shake from John Tortorella, which is unbelievable, because the guy probably arguably their best forward in the second half of the season last year. And Tortorella didn't seem to have any problem with him. So the only thing I can come up with is that, an extended, it wasn't even a holdout because it didn't even go into training camp, that an extended holdout was something that upset John Tortorella.
I do feel like it hurt his standing. I will say that.
Yeah. So, that's the business that we're in. So it's like, so honestly, I hope he gets traded. I hope he gets traded someplace where he has success. And I hope the next time he plays the Flyers, he sticks the stick right where,
You're getting ahead of yourself, Mike. Now, first he has to get traded, and that's going to take a little while.
That's going to take a little while. Exactly. Especially if Danny Briere is asking.
They're not going to rush him.
They're not going to rush it, and they're going to expect to get a price for it. But the thing is, honestly, you keep sitting him, that's going to affect his value.
I think right now you could get a conditional second based on like games played and points scored, or a halfway decent player. I think that's what they should be looking for.
Yeah, and I've and I haven't heard any rumors regarding Toronto, but he's from the Toronto area. Obviously, his dad was the Maple Leaf in-game, the PA announcer, and somebody who I've known for a long time. And the Leafs, honestly, I think right now, with having to move Max Domi to center on the third line, could use a guy like Morgan Frost as the third line center behind Matthews and Tavares. I think he would be a really good fit there, because I think he's a good center. And, with teams that I think he can be a second line center, but third line center right now is a fit. I don't know if Toronto, I think Toronto is probably keeping their powder dry for defensemen, because that's the area that they really need to address.
Yeah. I'll give you something I could foresee. Like if the Oilers wanted them, I think they could get someone like Reed Schaefer, who's 20. He's 6'4", 218. He's playing in the minors with Milwaukee. And he's got 2 points in 8 games. And I think something like that would be the case. Oh, he's with Nashville now. Sorry, I'm not the Oilers. Like if Nashville wanted to do that trade.
Oh, yeah.
Something like that.
Well, we'll see what happens. The Leafs play Ottawa tonight in the first Battle of Ontario. And Joseph Wall will be getting the start after that wonderful performance by Ilya Samsonov against the Tampa Bay Lightning. And I'll just say, I said this
facetious for everybody in the audience.
Well, I'll say this. I said this on the Leafs convo on Monday night. You have a goaltender who gave up 3 goals on 4 shots against Tampa Bay, and then the next time you play Tampa Bay, and the other goaltender made, I think it was 28 saves and won the game for you. So the next time you start against Tampa, you put the guy who gave up 3 goals on 4 shots I don't get that.
Yeah.
It
I don't
doesn't
either.
make any sense. But anyway, we'll talk about that probably on Friday.
Friday, yeah.
For Russ Cohen, I'm Michael Agello. Thank you for watching. And remember, without the buzz, it's just hockey.